Hello, my name is Kaping-Cooper, and I'll be discussing slavery in America. When we think of slavery in the United States, we typically think of Harriet Tubman or Abraham Lincoln, or perhaps the formal abolition of slavery in 1865. Regardless, it's considered a concept of the past. But what if I were to tell you that there are more African Americans under correctional control today than there were slaves in the year 1850? Would you think of slavery differently? The truth is, through exploitation within the prison industry, African Americans share the experiences of their enslaved ancestors, subjected to a modern form of slavery in the United States. In a 1994 interview, John Ehrlichman, one of Nixon's top advisors, admitted that the president's declared war on drugs was a political assault on Black communities to help him win the election and maintain support. The former U.S. Chief of Domestic Policy confessed, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or Black, but by associating hippies with marijuana and Blacks with heroin and then heavily criminalizing both, we could disrupt their communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and villainize them night after night on the evening news." Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. As a result, the same punishment for 100 ounces of coke was equal to that of just 1 ounce of crack. It's important to note that crack was a Black inner city issue, while coke was a white suburban issue. Thus, Black communities were crippled while white suburbia remained intact. According to Newt Gingrich, the 50th Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, we absolutely should have treated crack and coke as the same thing. It was an enormous burden to the Black community, so it fundamentally violated the sense of core fairness. Since drug legislation almost exclusively targeted communities of color, huge racial disparities developed in the prison system. According to scholar and political activist Angela Davis, people of color make up over 70% of the prison population. Despite drug crime rates being nearly equal among Blacks and whites, the likelihood of a white man becoming incarcerated is 1 in 17, while the likelihood of a Black man becoming incarcerated is 1 in 3. Once within the prison walls, African American bodies are exploited for obscenely cheap prison labor. Today, Americans consume thousands of products manufactured by prisoners. Among the corporations that exploit African Americans for the sake of cheap labor are Walmart, Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, Kraft, Motorola, Google, eBay, Sprint, Visa, American Bail Coalition, AT&T, Bank of America, Nordstrom, GM, Exxon, Verizon, Coca-Cola, Ford, Shell, DirecTV, Texas Instruments, Wendy's, Comcast, Chevron, FedEx, PG&E, Victoria's Secret, and even McDonald's. Nordstrom went so far as to advertise a line of clothes made by prisoners with the slogan, "Made on the inside to be worn on the outside." The prison slave force does data entry, raises livestock, operates dairy farms, inspects bottles, makes lingerie, graduation caps, graduation gowns, cars, circuit boards, waterbeds, phone reservations, etc. for practically free. One prisoner highlights in the letter that there are no strikes, no union organizing, no health benefits, unemployment insurance, or workers' compensation to pay. For example, Dell was protested for allowing our prisoners to recycle their computers. The coalition argued that Dell was exposing prisoners to deadly chemicals such as barium and mercury because they're not protected by the Federal Occupational Health and Safety Administration laws. Doctor in Public Health Andre Montoya Bartholomew echoes the same concerns in his article. The article focused on a group of prisoners who destroyed cathode ray tubes, releasing hazardous chemical dust which coated the prisoners' skin, clothes, and even their dining areas. Additionally, they were denied respiratory protectors and laundry services essential to removing the toxic chemicals. Disturbed by such exploitation, the lead safety officer of the operation used his own money to test the environment, and his findings were disturbing. Heavy metals were identified across the warehouse at 40 to 500 times the acceptable rate. Yet, years later, several prisoners voiced a number of complaints ranging from chronic coughing to neurological issues. One supervisor admitted that she knew of nearly 10 premature deaths she believed to be associated with those terrible working conditions. While exposed to such deadly hazards, these prisoners earned less than $1 a day. Shockingly, no U.S. agency such as the CDC, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or the Bureau of Justice Statistics bothers to track this data in the prison populations. Thus, there is no current way to adequately track the rates of illness, injury, or disability that occur behind prison walls. Treated as merely corporate assets, Black lives are completely dehumanized and denied their rights to safe work conditions and adequate wages. Their value amounts to the capacity of their bodies and nothing more. 150 years since the abolishment of slavery, and neither federal nor state governments have changed their stance on the protection of Black bodies. Despite their citizenship, the government does nothing to track the human rights violations these laborers are subjected to. As long as they're U.S. citizens who have the power to vote but are unaware of today's African American slave force, there is work to be done. If we are to change the very laws that sustain America's system of modern-day slavery, then we need more informed voters. So spread the word and free today's slaves.